This week, I sat down with Arthur Brooks, a leading conservative thinker, New York Times best-selling author, and a committed Catholic. We began our conversation talking about his unconventional career path. You've been a musician, a professor. How did it lead you to be the head of the most conservative think tank in the world?
It was a pretty winding path. People don't say, I need a new president for my conservative think tank, get me a French horn player. That's not the way the conversation usually goes. I started out as a musician. I grew up in Seattle, Washington, in a family of artists and professors. My mother is a painter and my father was a math professor, and everybody was really into great music. And from the time I was 9, I wanted to be a professional French horn player. Weird. I mean, is that a thing? Turns out it's a thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you?
The way it worked out is I was completely focused on that. I was pretty good at it. I loved music. I still do.
Yeah.
And when I was 19, I dropped out of college. and I went on the road playing classical music. I went on the road playing chamber music. I played a couple of years of jazz with a guitar player named Charlie Bird,
Oh, Charlie Bird, just that guitar player.
Yeah. And I wound up in the Barcelona Symphony. I made my living as a classical musician, but there was this point that was this turning point for me when I was asking myself the why of my work. You know, I've always believed in the sanctification of our work. I mean, that's what we believe as Catholics, that ordinary work is the essence of meaning, dignity, and purpose in our lives. And I was asking, you know, what is the why? You know, why am I a French horn player? And I saw this quote by my favorite composer, Johann Sebastian Bach. He said, the aim and final end of all music is nothing less than the glorification of God and the refreshment of the soul. And I said, that's it. But it's a knife to the heart because I couldn't say that. I wasn't in my true vocation, so I started to look. I started to look for another way to do that, to really serve others and to serve God.
Let's come to Washington and today's environment. President Trump doesn't always align with traditional conservative thinking. What do you think the impact of the president has been on the conservative movement and on the poor in particular?
The effect of Trump is uncertain on the conservative movement so far. I mean, people are writing obituaries for traditional conservatism. That's really premature. And part of the reason is because there are people, intellectuals and activists and politicians, and everybody's got a different point of view. And Trump came to power with a more populist viewpoint and did something that was really salutary, really quite important, which was to say that there is a dignity gap in this country. There's maybe a third of the American population today that feels that they're being left behind by the free enterprise system. Now, you can take that as an attack on the free enterprise system, or you can take that as an opportunity to use the free enterprise system in a way that by the way, that you and I think is most appropriate to begin with, because we're Catholics.
And you want to serve the poor.
We want to serve the people, as the Pope would say, at la periferia de la sociedad, at the periphery of society.
We'll have more of Arthur's interview in the coming days.